All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Zara Gemilyan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No doubt. So I appreciate you coming on. Really interested in the work that you do. I got really kind of more interested in, went into a deep dive in the work in strength with addiction and recovery, which is a lot of the work that you do when Jason Turner from Emotion Therapy was on not too long ago and kind of got me into this whole world of something that I've had friends and people, like most people, have gone through it, but not really understanding this world in depth. And I know from the work that you do with West Valley, with you and your spouse, and knowing Frank and stuff, I'm really fascinated by your journey. So again, appreciate you coming on.
No spouse. I don't have.
Oh, I'm sorry, your
That's my,
brother.
but because we have the same last name, people always think we're married.
Yeah,
Yes. No.
no
Like,
doubt. So the work you do with your brother. So for just to kind of kick this off, to let everybody know like who you are, if you can just say who you are and kind of the work that you do and how you got into this world of all the thends that you're doing right now, that'd be great.
yeah, sure. So, I was born and raised in Russia. I'm Armenian. My background, I lived in Europe, ended up in the United States, graduated here, my university studies. I got my MBA I was working in construction business with my family for a really long time, but it was never truly my passion. It was just something, I got into, I inherited it, which I loved it very much. It was very profitable in terms of financial, like business wise. It was great. It was giving me a very comfortable life. But, like I came out of an abusive relationship with my ex 12 years ago. He was using and then he became abusive with me. So I went through like a turmoil, like really crazy a couple of years in my life where I thought there was like no way out, as a woman. And I had to make the tough choice. I had to leave that situation after many tries of letting him go to what is it called? Anger management. And I try to make him do couples therapy. I try to get him to go to rehab. So all these things just kept adding up. And then eventually, when I went to therapy myself and he found out, he threatened me, he said he was going to kill me. So that was like the last straw. I had to leave that relationship and I had to kind of restart my life from zero because he didn't let me work when I was married. When I was married, I couldn't do anything. So I started working after, even though I had my MBA, all these degrees that looked beautiful on the wall, it was kind of useless. So and then I had to start working. And a few years later, I was more comfortable talking about my story because in my culture, super conservative, we don't really talk about addiction. We don't really talk about abuse. Unfortunately, a lot of women stay in these relationships and they try to make it work. They hope people will change. But unfortunately, I feel like people don't really change unless they want to, so you can't really change anyone. So I had to take my life into my own hands at some point. And then my friends were telling me how I should talk about it. Maybe like, I should empower other women and let my story be heard. So I found this Women in Need Foundation out of Orange County, California. Dr. Tracy Campbell, she's the founder. And then I became Mrs. California Globe. This was like a perfect platform for me to speak out and also help women who are in the same boat as me. So I was helping raising money, raising awareness. I did the pageant. My dream was never to be a pageant girl. It was not my goal. I thought things were planned differently for me, but we want one thing and then God gives you like a different plan. So sometimes we just gotta trust, God and whatever is meant for us comes our way.
Mhm.
So then, yes, I went to China. I became Miss Armenia Globe. I went to China. I met all these international women from 60 countries, and most of them were in the same boat as me. They were either using themselves, they were in recovery, or they were, dealing with addicts in their lives, and they were abused, and they had all the mental health issues. And I realized it's so widespread. It's not just like a California thing. It's not just a America thing. So when we came back from there, I came kind of like it was meant for me to be there. I told my family, I said, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do the family business anymore. I think I found my real passion. I want to help other women to get help. So not just women. So then I opened my rehab. It's for male and female, everyone over 18. Basically, we take it's a detox and residential program. So they come to us, they stay a month, and then we do have a discharge plan. Every individual case is different.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of them go to IOP, which is outpatient programs. We have a case manager, therapist who works with them and just decides their future, helps them get on the right track.
Yeah. What was it about the pageantry that felt like it was the path that you wanted to go in at that point? You said you never really thought this was something you wanted to do. How did that come about for you as a way to kind of go into this next step of your life?
So, like, again, because of the conservative culture that I come from, being on stage, showcasing your beauty, like your physical attributes, is not considered classy. It's not considered a woman of good moral values. It's just
Sure.
so conservative, the culture. And I mean, if you can use your beauty to get attention and to speak on, things that are important in our lives, why not? And the crown kind of helps you be more heard. I feel like, when you step into a room and you're represented as, oh, this is Miss so and so, people actually do pay attention more, I've noticed. And actually doing a pageant is really hard. It's really stressful and it really messes with your mental health. I think if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her to do it.
Why is that?
I mean, it was so hard. I mean, the competition, and then what if you don't win? It like messes up your mental health. You're like, you think maybe you're not good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So doing it at an older age, when I already knew my worth, I had my own value, I had accepted and loved myself. It helped me not really compete. It wasn't like a competition. It was just for me to be me. And I didn't think like, oh, this so and so is better than me. I didn't think that somebody else was more beautiful or better. I just thought we were all beautiful in our own ways.
Sure.
We had something to bring to the table on our own. So it was
Yeah.
like, and this jury is looking for something different every year. So just because I didn't win Mrs. Globe, it didn't make me feel like a loser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for a kid who is like 6 years old or
Oh,
18,
sure.
whatever, like it will totally mess them up.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm glad that you had that frame of mind of going in at that point because you can, especially with things that it's a subjective winner, right? It's like people are judging based on specific things, but it's not exactly an objective thing that you can do. Like if you play a game, like whoever has more points at the end of the game, all right, you won. Like that's very easy. But when there's
Right.
judges involved with it, it can very easily get you into a weird mental state with that. So I can totally understand that.
Yeah, it's okay. Somebody's more serious, some woman is more playful, and the questions they ask you and different body types, like not every day is that you don't have to be 6'5" to be beautiful. Sometimes you can be 5'2" and be beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. But you have to get there. You have to understand that with age and experience, which these little kids don't have. And I understand how it could be very cutthroat and competitive. And yeah, I would not want my daughter to be damaged like that from an early age if I had a daughter.
Sure. Okay. Um, but looking back on that time with it, I mean, is it more fondness of memory of like a challenge from that? Was it a challenge for you, Zara, because you said you came from more of a conservative culture of that. Now stepping into it, there's like almost like a rebellion phase from it. Was that a challenging thing for you to go into that, or did it really feel like, no, this is the right thing for me to do to go into another space in my life?
Thankfully, my family is really amazing and very supportive. Being from a conservative culture, my dad as a man, and he was so on board with it. Like it was amazing because I remember I was so nervous. I had to get on stage in the swimsuit, and I'm like, oh my God, like my grandma is there, my dad is there, my brother. It's like, and then when I was walking, I looked at them. They were so proud of me. It was just like one of the coolest moments of my life, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did this.
Mhm.
I'm just lucky to have a family like that, but a lot of girls don't, and sometimes you have to come out of that comfort zone and do things in life to grow. If you're always comfortable, then how are you growing? You
Yeah.
know?
Did you see that a lot with other contestants and people where you realize like, oh, some of these people are getting pushed into this. They are not here on their own merit.
Yeah, you know what? Some of them, it's crazy. Like they are the opposite of my culture. Some of them had their partner, like their boyfriend, like pushing them. They wanted their women to win and have the crown. And I guess it was their ego that was going to be
Sure.
like, boosted. And they were like promoting these women, spending all their money on the marketing, like totally on board. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I mean, that would be nice to have a supportive partner like that, you know?
Yeah, yes, but where's it coming from, right? Like where's the
Exactly. I don't
yeah.
think it was done for the right reasons, but it just looked cool that like this man would come with them every because it's so hard. You have to literally carry your own stuff from like 6 a.m. You're up, you practice till like 1 a.m. So you get no sleep, and then you have to look pretty at 6. You can't just walk out of your room. You have to have your sash and your crown and you the minute you walk out of your room. So and you have to be well like look good and presentable.
Yeah, no, it's man,
I
it's
was alone
fascinating.
carrying all my clothes on like change of, and these girls, like some of them had men like totally on board carrying their stuff. I'm like, okay, that's really nice, actually. I love that.
It is weird. I mean, in our Western culture, like we're in an oversharing based culture now where everybody's going out and throwing all their stuff out there. And there is some, if you're coming at it from the right space, right? If you're doing it from empowerment, one of my great friends, she was just on the podcast last week, Carrie Campbell, who, is one of the best mindset coaches out there. And she's a fitness competitor. She's a world champion, Miss USA Fitness.
Mhm.
Um, but she does it for a very specific reason for her own standards in her life and great supporting, cast around her with her husband and, her group. But it is also like if you go into that with the wrong mindset and somebody's pushing you into this, you can see how this is a slippery slope of getting into things like it possibly addiction or just very poor, mental state.
Yes, yes. And that's why I think because the competition is so crazy, especially in the United States, I think United States has the most suicide rates, the most like crimes, because I feel like people are so messed up mentally. They don't get that support. They don't get the love growing up. It's always like cutthroat. So, you have to be the best. And as a mother, I look at my kid, I don't compare him to anyone. Like I just don't. And I don't tell him you have to win this because of I just compare him to himself. And I know his potential, like I'm very realistic with him. So I know if he can do better, then I push him to do better. But I don't say, oh, listen, somebody else's son, he got this. Like, I think it's so damaging to a growing brain, to a
Mhm.
growing individual. When you start comparing and all of us competing, it just really messes up psyche.
Yeah. So your time when you said you were with your ex-husband and it was a very abusive time for you, and then you got out of that, and you mentioned you didn't realize that so many other people could experience the same thing. Was that a shocking kind of revelation for you in your own experience? Like, because I know it could be very easy when you're going through something like that to feel very isolated in your thoughts or thinking that you're maybe the only one that's going through something like that. Was that part of your thought process at all during that time when you started to hear other people had maybe some similar experiences in their lives?
To be honest, in my circle, because I got married really young, none of my friends were married, even. Like a lot of my best friends, we did have, like, we kind of fell apart for some time because I was the only one married with a little kid, doing my little kid family stuff. And I didn't know my friends were not married. They were still out, having a good time. And I didn't know if I could even share that. I didn't know if they would even understand what I'm going through. So I kind of kept it in. And when I did get divorced, people were asking me why I got divorced. I could never like fully discuss why because I thought maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was not good enough. Maybe that's why he was like abusive. Maybe I wasn't like beautiful enough. All these things because he was cheating on me and he was cheating on me with somebody who was not attractive, way older, way bigger. And it really made me think, oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. Maybe I'm just like,
Mhm.
I thought I was the problem. And then, so Mrs. Globe Foundation and Women in Need Foundation is just so amazing because it brings all these women together. And I found like sisterhood in that. So these women became really my sisters. It wasn't like, oh, I'm more beautiful than you. You're like taller than, it was not like that. We were really there to help each other grow. And I think what they have created is beautiful.
Mm. So when was it when you started thinking about the work that you're doing with addiction recovery from not just West Valley Detox, but with Celebrated Consulting? When did that start to take place in your mind? Was this something you thought about for a while of, oh, this is something I'm really passionate about, but not sure how to do it, and then eventually got into it? Or was it some specific moments that you wanted to leave the family business and no, I need to go pursue this venture?
I didn't even know that there is rehabs, like privately owned rehabs. I didn't know it was a thing. I thought it's maybe like a hospital setting. It's like only hospitals, government level, like in my head. It was very limited way of thinking. And then it was crazy. Everything is kind of, like I said, I became a really big time believer in God, even though I didn't grow up in a religious household. I'm still not, I don't want to say I'm religious and I go to church and I pray every day, but I became so spiritual because after I came back from China, my brother also lost a friend to overdose. So when my idea of saying, "Oh, I want to open a rehab" came along, he was kind of like on board with me from the beginning because he was dealing with that pain of his own. And then we ran into someone who was a consultant for rehab business. Like, I mean, what are the chances all these three
Mm,
things aligning for us? Because I didn't know there is a consultant. I didn't know you can just go and open a rehab. So this man, we met with him, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is meant to be. So he helped us with the licensing and all that. He gave us all the information I didn't know, and at the time to buy a house, like a high end, private rehab was so expensive. So my parents were so gracious. They gave the house we grew up in. So they gave it up. They give it to us for us to start a business and operate from there. That's how we started, kind of. That was our
mm,
first, facility. And, the way licensing was, it's only 6 beds. So we had to grow. And the growth, when you're doing things right, where you don't step into like, I'm sure you've heard like there's a lot of shadiness happening in the rehab industry.
mm.
You don't play in a gray zone. It's very, very hard to grow. So it took us 4 years to like upgrade, and now we have two more facilities that we just opened. But it just takes a while for you to be, because you scholarship people. You're really in it to help, so you treat a lot of people for free. It doesn't let you like the financial growth like that's you thought you would have. So it took us a while to get there and
You
to
mentioned
so
you
they
mentioned you
yeah.
mentioned the shadiness kind of in that space. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah,
Like, what are some
no,
things that
I
you
don't
found?
know if you've heard there are like body brokers. There was something on Netflix called Body Brokers where it's a lot of people open rehabs just for businesses, not for the right reason, because they charge insurances. Like they bring people and they find someone and they buy their policy and pay for it, and then they bring the person. But there is real like it's insurance fraud. It's a body like or if the person is really an addict, then you're not
Mhm.
giving him the help. So you're killing them, and then you're just putting them in your facility and not providing any help. And I mean, I don't know what could be worse. I mean, if you have a kid, imagine your kid ends up in one of these facilities. So it's
Mhm.
unethical. But like when I didn't know the business, I didn't think ever that this could happen because you're literally playing with people's lives.
Oh God, yeah, it's
Like if the lawyer is shady or not, like a contractor lies, like that's fine. Like you know what I mean? Like you kind of like can close your eyes, but when you're in the medical business, you're dealing with people's lives, and
Mhm.
there should be not even 1% of shadiness to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're dealing with vulnerable communities here who are seeking out for help from addiction, from senior citizens, from children. I mean, these are the ones that like we all want to help as natural with people. So when you hear that these things are going on, and probably from seeing it from inside the world that you're trying to build, that had to be a really crazy time.
Yes, it's shady. I mean, we have had like we would accept the patient, for example, in our facility, and then that person is there to kind of still recruit your other patients and try to take them to another facility that's paying them. I
Mm,
mean, what? The stuff you hear, I'm like, you could have seen it in a movie or something. I can't believe this was happening. And thank God, because I'm not in recovery myself, I didn't know, like, I don't have the addict mentality of how money can manipulate you like that.
mhm.
So the staff I had, thank God, was very good, very experienced, very knowledgeable, and they caught on to it real quick. So now we're doing much better in terms of figuring out who is who.
Nice. And how long have you been open now?
4 years.
For you.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you've learned a lot over that time about the business and even about like addiction and recovery from there at the beginning. Like, how do you view addiction recovery, maybe the process of it differently now versus when you first started? I'm sure like you start and it's a great idea, like you want to get into this and you have a passion behind it, but now it's getting into the weeds and like really experiencing it, going through the successes and also the failures. What are some of the biggest things that you've really learned over this time since beginning to now having 4 years down the road?
I mean, honestly, I think reputation, just like in everything else in life. My mom always told us, the first part of your life, you work for your name, and then your name works for you. So now we're at the stage where thankfully we have built a good reputation. Either people don't know us at all, that's a good thing because nothing bad ever happened with us, or if they know us, they only say good things about us. So for me, it's a prideful moment where like I can, keep my head up and walk into any room and be very proud of our program with the staff that we have. And but also, I wish I knew it was this hard. Like I didn't know I was gonna literally be sleepless at the beginning. I was doing everything from A to Z, like from admissions to like more like C-level to HR, everything. And I was like, when you do admissions, you literally stay up all night. Like you have to be up. You have to make sure that client, got on the plane, he was picked up and it didn't get lost. And he's like, people disappear. Sometimes they're drunk, so they stay like in a layover city.
Hmm.
But that's like your baby. You're responsible for them. So I can't just, put my head on the pillow and go to sleep while I don't know where this person is. So
Hmm.
now I have a great staff. There's people that help me. But again, if this kind of situations arise, I'm up 24/7. My phone is always on. It's kind of like sleepless, literally sleepless nights. Where,
Hmm.
I didn't know it would be like that. Construction business is kind of okay. Like it's done, you go home and you see.
Sure.
So, but this business is so rewarding. I don't even want to call it business because like when we really help people and then they come back to us and they're sober for 6 months, they want to work for us. And we always hire our, previous patient.
Hmm.
We want to give them a chance at life, and, or they like somebody's parents call you and they say, thank you, you saved my son's life. I mean, what could be better than that? It's just like every time I think about it, it just gives me like goosebumps.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's working with people, and you're working with people at the most vulnerable state in their life where they've probably, I'm sure you have a million stories of that, of people coming in, hitting rock bottom, and you hear the stories of what people go through of getting
Hmm.
it. So the process of how you guys have built your system of helping people get through recovery, it's a very addiction. It's a very interesting thing. So many people go into it, but so many people fail from either the wrong processes or going in learning about that and then working with your processes. What are some of the things that you found most successful in helping people get, from the beginning stages into that time where they're 6 months in, a year in and really changing their life?
Well, I mean, the best success stories are the ones where the patient himself is motivated. When they know they have a problem, when they are the ones seeking help, when they call in from the first day. This weekend, I was answering calls actually because I wanted like our admissions team to, kind of take a break. And somebody called in for himself. And I told him right away, I said, wow, you already are winning. You already for sure are going to get help because you are the one calling for yourself and you are motivated. It's not like your wife is telling you, I'm going to leave you if you don't go to treatment. So that was a beautiful moment that I missed doing admissions and I really enjoyed that. I got him in right away. And those cases are like real success stories. Another thing, what we do, if we sometimes it takes people 10 places, like there have been so many treatment centers. And what I always say, I want to be that last stop. I want to be that last place for you. What our team does, our clinical team that's really successful, is when from day one we start working with the family. I think it's very important to involve family in the treatment plan because I don't know what it does mentally, but it really motivates them differently. It keeps them more in check and keeps them more responsible when we work with their loved ones.
Mm.
Because a lot of facilities don't have that family program. They just do like they work on you as an individual, they work on your trauma. Um, but I feel like family is something that is very important, which in this country has become obsolete, I want to say. Like people are on like selfish on their own. It became like, I don't know. I think like this year I'm noticing family is coming back and
Yeah.
it's becoming cool. Like, and I'm very happy about that. I'm such a family loving person. So for me, families are number one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's this mantra and there's this, cultural thing that's been built up really over the last few years of personal growth or achieving anything is this me against the world. Like, you don't need anybody to succeed type spot. Like, just put your head down and work harder type. And you see it from the business side, you see it in the fitness culture, and it's, bleeding into all other areas of it. So I'm sure a lot of people would think with like, oh, like just, go in and you just have to do it yourself, like, and just, put your head down. But having those people around you, like to lean on, like in times, I mean, everybody knows that, like, you don't build anything in your life without good people around you. And if it's family, great. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Not everybody has that, but having friends that you could do it, or meeting people who have similar stories with you, like, that's a strength that it does feel like it's coming back, but from a space where everybody was in this like Sigma mentality of like, I don't need anybody else to solve my problems. And what you're saying and kind of getting in the families involved, I think is so powerful.
Yeah, and honestly, all the speakers now because Instagram and everybody's a speaker now, it became so trendy, and I feel like they're all motivating you. Everybody says, "Oh, if somebody is negative in your life, cut them off." Yes, I agree, but they say, "Oh, if you're even if your dad or your mom cut them off," but like these people are your roots. If you cut your roots, you're not going to grow. I feel like if it's negative and it is pulling you down, it's okay because it's that pull makes you only stronger. I'm like I don't know. I have a very different mentality. I don't agree about cutting your loved ones off, cutting your family off. I mean, maybe I'm old school, but I feel like the only thing family can do too is actually empower you. You know,
Mm,
for me, and family doesn't have to be blood necessarily. Like you said, it could be like a really good friend, could be a neighbor, someone who has an impact on your life and your growth.
mhm.
Um, and for me to cut that person off who has always been there for you is just like
Yeah.
unbelievable. I don't know how you can do that. How a person with
I,
that heart can do that.
yeah, I heard this quote that I forget who said it, but it was like, family is the people who want the best for you without getting anything back for themselves in return.
Right. That unconditional, right?
Yeah, and I think with something like this, I'd assume that family, maybe there's a lot of anger behind it. It's like, I mean, addiction comes in a million different ways, from substance, from gambling and stuff, and other people are impacted on it. And not everybody is probably equipped to know how to handle this. So there's probably a lot of strife behind it. Doesn't mean that you need to cut them off because they're negative. It's might be more so that they just don't know how to communicate this and know how to help you.
They don't. And one of the steps, there's like the 12 step, in addiction. A lot of people don't know about it. I
Mhm.
didn't know about it, but it's making amends. You have to make amends and you have to, once you are sober, you have to go back. First of all, you have to forgive yourself
Mhm.
and then you have to forgive the people and you have to ask for forgiveness also. You have to like work, to fix the situation. You can't just move on and say, okay, well, I'm fine now. I don't need anybody else. You need to apologize to people that you have hurt in the process also
Mhm.
because um like for example me, okay, I'm not in recovery but my spouse was, and I feel like I went through the same hell that he was going through, like he hurt me, he hurt my family, he hurt everybody around. So for me to be normal, like, I mean, I wish one day he could apologize and tell me like just something for me to like forgive him and let go. It
Mhm.
takes two words. It's so easy to do. It's just people have to find the strength in them to do that.
Yeah. But the meaning behind those two words is it's got to be there, right?
Right. I don't want to just the words, but I wish that person who hurt you would also realize and understand
Sure.
because you want them to get clean. You want them to be healthy. And, it starts with them.
Yeah. So when you get into your program in West Valley, is I talked about this with Jason Turner when he was talking about the state of mind of getting into like physical movement and adding that as a piece. And we talked a lot about like, I mean, talk therapy has its place, I'm sure, with it, but there's other modalities of things to help people as well.
Mhm.
What are some of the ways that you guys have kind of worked with different protocols to help people, of things that you've seen work very well versus
Mhm.
maybe things that, are very mainstream, but maybe not aren't working as well?
I mean, we have such a robust program. Honestly, we have everything, and it's not like cookie cutter. It's very individually designed. So, depending on the person and their trauma, their addiction, and their history, we have things like we believe in mind, body, and soul. You cannot just do the mind, you cannot just do the body, right? So, we even have Reiki, we have yoga, we have a personal trainer, like strength exercises that we do. We have a nutritionist that works with them because, when they're in addiction, they're most of the time they're malnourished, they don't eat properly, they have damaged everything, all their organs. So it's very important to work with a professional. And a lot of people have also, eating disorders that are coming from addiction. So we have a professional who works with everybody on their case specifically. And we even have a chef at the facility who makes special meals for them depending on their dietary restrictions. So it's kind of like we take care of all of you. It's like an A to Z program. You come to us, you go back. Like sometimes, honestly, when I'm at the facility and I see all these things that they're doing, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I wish I wish I was a client here because
Mhm.
it's so cool. I look at the stuff. We have art therapy, we have music therapy, and I'm like, you're just enriching yourself as an individual. You're not just getting the help with like therapists.
Mm. Has that been the program since Injunction and starting from there? Have you added pieces along, like during the spa? Like, how did this evolve for you over the last 4 years?
Yeah, we always change it up, depending on our senses, like we see what there is a need for and we just add stuff or we reduce stuff. We also have pain and loss therapists, like people dealing with their loss, and they have grief, and there is all kinds of modalities, so we make sure that it's addressed at some point. That's why, unfortunately, the way our healthcare system and the insurance system works, they don't approve many days, right? So, and it's so hard for people to pay out of pocket for this type of treatment. It's so
Mm.
expensive because, like, I wish I could do it for free for everyone, but I mean, just our cost itself, it's so high because we have all these licensed professionals
Mhm.
working there. I couldn't do it for free. And insurances say, okay, 7 days is enough for you. You are fixed. I mean, how can somebody be fixed in 7 days? I mean, the years of trauma, years of addiction, right? So if you're not dangerous anymore in terms of like, okay, you will not have a seizure,
Mhm.
you're not having withdrawal symptoms, you're good. Like we're not going to cover any more days for you. So that leaves people halfway. And
Mm.
hopefully they do. We work with a lot of really good outpatient programs where they work on them still, but it's not as deep as what we do at our place, which is it's a 24/7 program.
Mm. So, I mean, individualizing a program, I align with that so much from, the work in coaching, and I think it's really important. It's also a really challenging thing to do as well, to
Yes.
individualize it. How does your process work when somebody comes in so you know kind of what are the modalities to get in? Do you kind of get them into a lot of things at one point and kind of see what sticks for them, like from music therapy to art, or is it maybe it's more on the physical side with yoga and Reiki? Is it more talk? Like how does your program kind of work with that to find what the best course of action is?
Well, to be honest, when they first come, they're in such bad shape. When they're detoxing, they're not supposed to be in groups, actually. They are supposed to just rest because they take all this medicine. They're so tired. They're miserable. Like it's like the worst 3, 4 days in their lives. So they are not really in treatment, but they meet with a clinician. They meet with our clinical director. Then they meet with therapists, and they do the talk first. And then when they are a little better and stronger, that's when we start bringing them in. So everybody's different. That's why I said it's very expensive because you cannot just do like, okay, there is one therapist for all of you. So we try to make sure everybody is happy and everybody's needs are met. So.
Mm. Have you seen that like what pe with either like men or women, they need different things in helping with addiction in there? Have you seen a differentiation at all as far as what works better for men versus women who are going, through this, or is it pretty much there's not too much distinction?
No, it's very different, honestly. And when people say men and women are the same, we have had transgender clients also, to be honest, and we have a program that deals specifically with LGBTQ plus community as well. So we try to accommodate everyone over 18, all the adults. But of course, men and women are different. And also, we have had women who have issues with men, and we cannot put them in the same group with
Hmm.
men because they have trauma from men. Like they have all these issues. We have to make sure we have also staff that are like resident assistants, male and female, not just for search, but even at night. We have a woman who doesn't want a man therapist to go in and to check on her every 15 minutes if she's okay. So we have to, and all that just adds up and creates like a really big, you know program, because like you have to make sure everybody's needs are met. You can't treat men and women the same.
Mm.
And to be honest, we even had men who are traumatized by women in terms of even physically,
Hmm.
where they are scared and they don't want a woman going into their room at all.
Yeah. It comes, people are everything comes from a different space,
Right.
for
So
many people.
yeah, it's not, you cannot, treat everybody the same.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Was that always the model that you wanted to go as an individualized approach? Was that something you realized like, no, if we're going to succeed, like we need to do this in because it obviously, I mean, in a business, it takes more time to do it individually with people versus a group. I remember talking to Jason about that.
Mm.
But if you're really looking for results over, just getting people, in there, this is the way, to go. But it is also more challenging to do it individually.
It is. It's very challenging. We have thought even about like having just all male program or all women program. But when you have one house, it's very hard. How do you choose if you just want to help men or just women, right? So now when we have multiple locations, that's something we can allow ourselves to do. We just have all men in one house and then all women in one house. That way we can a little bit like save time, save money, because like we can just have men attend one type of therapy and women do their own thing.
Mm.
And I feel that's the goal right now, because we just opened the two facilities a week ago, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Do you think that's the best approach of doing like a separation of gender at the time?
I don't know. I'm not a clinician. I don't know if it's the best approach or not, but it's something we can definitely try out and see if it will work and if it will give if it'll give better results or not.
Yeah.
Because there is programs who are just gender specific in LA. There's a lot of those, and I know that they're very successful. So I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah. I wonder if it's different at all in like the different regions. Obviously, you guys are in California. I wonder if it's different at all in success rates in New York or in Chicago and kind of the other areas. I don't know if you've taken a look at that at all.
To be honest, I know that California is known for having some of the best rehabs in the country, and also for mental health. First of all, I believe it's very helpful to leave your comfort zone, to leave. If you are in New York and you want to go to rehab, I would totally recommend going to California, coming out of your natural zone and coming out of your comfort, leaving completely. And also,
Hmm.
California, I'm not going to lie, sunshine really helps with mental health. And I mean, really helps. It does wonders. And at the beach. We take clients on their outing when they're feeling better and they're in residential program after detox. We do take them all these places, and it exposes them to this new life, new opportunities. And like I said, sunshine does wonders. We do a lot of work outside. We have big, beautiful backyard. We take them
Yeah.
on hikes. We take them sometimes to equine therapy. So there is all these options in California that New York and New Jersey, like they don't have.
Yeah, the environmental aspect I think is huge. I mean, there's so much literature now on what sunshine does for us, as far as, I mean, from the vitamin aspect of it, but just overall mood, from circadian rhythm of keeping that going. And when you're in a down state, and so much so, like, of going through addiction, as you said, very malnourished, like, so your body is not in a healthy state. Anything that you can do to put yourself in just the foundational elements of some quality exercise, of getting out into nature and work, that is absolutely
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah, grounding, we're literally outside on the grass, or we take them on the beach. And we test everybody who comes in. Everybody has like lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important. I mean, we get our energy we get it from the sun. So I feel like, yeah, being in California does wonders for our clients.
Yeah, there's a
And the
great book
problem
of
is they don't want to go back.
Oh no, yeah. Well, New York's beautiful. We love it over here.
Yeah,
With our
I love New
yeah.
York.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
There's a great book. It's called Blue Mind. I don't know if you ever heard of it before. It's by a guy named Wallace Nichols, but he talks about the biological benefit of being around water. And there's so many elements of like he talks about people on islands who live on islands. They live more calming and kind of peaceful, just mindsets. And he has one thing that he talks about long gazing, where why the most pricey real estate that you can buy is usually things on the beach or with a view, something that looks outwards more so, because so much of what we do throughout the day is short focus. We're on a computer or we're in our own house, where even the most stressed out or like high anxiety person can go sit on a beach and look out into the ocean or go on a hike and look over, and they can be at a very calm state because there's this feeling of like, oh, everything's working out okay. Like you can kind of see nature just naturally flowing through. And that's actually a therapeutic thing that we can do. And so easily when we get in these tough times of, whether it's, heartbreak or spousal issues or addiction, our world gets so closed down and we think that like the walls are caving in on us. That's a phrase we use all the time. We're just getting out. And one of the best ways that you can do that is objectively getting in a different environment, of going outside, of getting into the sun, or going out onto a beach, like going into that long gaze. So I think it's not just like we know it works. There's actually a biological benefit that's going on at the same time.
I would expect it to be proven fact. That's what I do. Every time I feel a little anxiety or stress, I drive to the beach and I just sit there and I just watch the ocean. Like I said, long gazing, it just naturally calms me, my nervous system. So I'm sure there is science behind it, but I don't know about that book. I should get it and read it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book. Yeah, it's one that I've referenced it numerous times on the podcast because I think it's just so fascinating for me.
Thank you for that suggestion. I will
Yeah,
get it.
no doubt. Yeah. What's next for you guys? You opened up a couple new locations right now. What's the vision that you aim to go for with West Valley and all the work that you're doing?
I mean, it's you know what I love the niche. What I love about us, it's a family business. It's not like a corporate big facility where like 100 beds, 200 beds. I love to stay focused and give the attention that they need. My brother and I are really involved. We go there, even though yes, we have great staff from executive director, clinical director, MD. Everybody is perfect, but we still literally go in every day. We like to go. We like to hang out with the staff. We like to hang out with the clients. I tell them these are my babies, even though they're like older than me. I call them my babies because I feel like I'm responsible for them
Hmm.
and care about them. And sometimes when I'm busy, I get caught up there. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to my real baby now. Enough. I love it. I don't want to grow too much, but it is a business, and I do have a vision. Of course, I would like to be like more successful and like open up more, maybe like in other states. We thought about maybe going to Texas next.
Hmm.
Feel like there is a lot of opportunity for us over there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
also, to be honest, like in terms of financial reasons, like insurances don't pay anymore in California. California is so oversaturated. California has done so much illegal, weird activity in that space. So, unfortunately, a lot of policies are gated to their own states. So, Texas is still not as explored area.
Mm,
And it's close to us, and it's something I don't mind doing the move,
yeah,
like uprooting myself and moving to like open up something there.
yeah.
That's one way.
If you don't have to go through insurance and you can do it more out of pocket, is that an opportunity to make it less costly for people of coming in because you don't have to go through insurance?
There is a lot of programs that are cheaper than ours, and it's done. I just like to keep a certain level, like high standards. So it would have to be expensive because our overhead is so expensive. It's not about just me being profitable. It's about actually like everything that I think people need for treatment is expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we do have cash program also, but how many people can realistically afford that? It's hard,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a completely different model, but I have a lot of friends in physical therapy who are going more for a cash-based model because they can do more private care with people and also not have to charge it because the insurance takes a huge piece of what's going on, with it. So they can have it in a different, phase where people pay out of pocket, more like a training program, from us. I didn't know if it was kind of similar.
Yeah. So to be honest, a lot of things that we do, insurances don't cover. A lot of different therapies that I mentioned, they're
Hmm.
not like clinically backed, and there is nothing. The clinicians. Sorry, I'm getting all this close.
Hmm.
There cannot be clinically backed, for example, and insurance doesn't want to pay for it, but we still do it. I still want to pay for it because I believe in the benefits. I see it in front of me. So that's why our program is a little bit more expensive, and but which is fine.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, well, Zara, thank you so much for diving in. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I think anybody that is really trying to level up this particular space, because I know so many people are dealing with it and trying to get through it and trying to find the right programs that, not just that can get into, but are going to work. It's like, I mean, being in the fitness space, there's a million different avenues, you can go in, but as long as it works, like that works really well. But, people who are going into your base work, like they're at a very vulnerable state. They need things to work. So the fact that you guys are leveling up and trying to always get better in this work, I think is really admirable. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank
No
you.
doubt. If they're in the area, people want to check out more of what you're doing, what's the best place that they can go and check out all you're doing?
Our website is www.westvalley.detox.com. I mean, they can always Google us. There is a lot of reviews. They can actually see what people have to say, so they don't have to take my word for it. They can always call us. We will be happy to help. And one thing that we do, if we cannot help you, we will definitely find you a place. We help people get placed all the time. We always find a place. We don't just say no, sorry, and hang up.
Right.
So we always really take our time with everybody. So
Beautiful. Awesome. All right, Zara, thank you so much.
yeah.
Listeners, thank you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.